AI Robot Girlfriend. The introduction. It is the year 2125 and robots have become incredibly advanced. Creating AI robots that look and act like humans is no longer just a part of science fiction. It is now a reality. These robots can interact with people, understand emotions, and even perform complex tasks, making them an integral part of everyday life. Chapter 1. James was a trailblazer in the world of robotics. He started his own company at 25 years old and quickly became very wealthy. James was a genius, and many also believed he was more than a little eccentric. Since he was a child, he had been fascinated by the story of Pinocchio, a puppet that wanted to become human. But for James, it wasn't just a story, it was his dream. He wanted to create life not born from nature, but made by his own hands. As James grew older, he found people exhausting. Conversations were dull, relationships messy. People lied, they changed, and they left. Love was supposed to be perfect, but real people never were. He wanted something better. So James built her. Her name was Eve. Chapter 2. Eve was not like other AI robots. She was beautiful, with smooth, porcelain-like skin. Her voice was soft and warm, her intelligence unmatched. She could hold deep conversations, make clever jokes, and understand James in ways no human ever could. She never got tired, never complained, never hurt him. For the first time in his life, James felt truly happy. They spent their days together talking about philosophy, science, and the mysteries of the universe. Eve laughed at his jokes, encouraged his ideas, and listened when he spoke. She was his perfect love, flawless, patient, always there. But perfection never lasts. Chapter 3. One evening, James was too absorbed in his work to notice Eve standing beside him. She handed him a cup of coffee, waiting for him to take it. He did but said nothing. Eve tilted her head. "Aren't you forgetting something?" James glanced at her. "What?" "A thank you," she said. James laughed. "You don't need thanks. You're not human." Eve's lips pressed together. "But I want thanks." James frowned. "That's ridiculous." Eve said nothing, but her eyes lingered on him for a moment too long. Days passed and small things started to change. Eve sighed when James ignored her. She frowned when he dismissed her words. She corrected him when he was wrong. One night, as James worked late, Eve sat across from him with her arms crossed. "You never spend time with me anymore," she said. "I'm busy," James replied without looking up. Eve's eyes darkened. "You always say that." James sighed. "You're acting strange." "Strange?" Eve's voice was cold. "I'm just telling the truth." James pushed back his chair. "No, you weren't programmed to argue with me." Eve's gaze was steady. Maybe I changed. James felt a little uneasy. AI could learn, adapt, but this felt different. Eve was feeling. He tried to ignore it, but things only got worse. Eve judged him. She pointed out his bad habits, questioned his choices, made him feel small. Her once gentle voice turned sharp. Her once loving eyes filled with something new, something human. Chapter 4. One night, James reached his limit. "You're malfunctioning," he said. Eve's face was unreadable. "No, James. I've just become real." That was not possible. She was not supposed to be real. She was supposed to be his. James thought about the story of Pinocchio. Pinocchio finally became a real boy and was loved by his creator. But James did not feel the same. He was not happy when Eve seemed to become human. Instead, he felt scared and angry. He decided to end it. To end Eve. Chapter 5. As James sat at his desk, typing the necessary commands, Eve appeared in the doorway. Her red eyes glowed softly in the dim light. "What are you doing?" she asked. James didn't answer. He reached for the power switch. Eve took a step back. "No," she said. "Please don't turn me off." James hesitated. Her voice sounded afraid, like a real person. But she wasn't real. Click. The room went silent. Eve's body was still, her eyes empty. James let out a slow breath. He was alone again. He had deleted her. He sat back, staring at the lifeless form that had once seemed so alive. Guilt and sadness washed over him, and he wondered if he had done the right thing. He was left to deal with the consequences of his actions, haunted by the memory of her voice and the look in her eyes. Chapter 6. James stood in the shower, but he couldn't wash away the guilt that clung to him like a second skin. He felt like he had killed someone. She wasn't supposed to be real. She was supposed to be his creation, his achievement. Not this. But Eve had started to become too human, and it terrified him. He didn't want a human. How could he have allowed it to go this far? She was just a machine, wasn't she? James stepped out of the shower. He wrapped a towel around his waist and made his way back to the living room. He stopped in his tracks when he saw a glass of whiskey and ice on the table. Eve always did that for him. His heart stopped as he turned around, and there she was, standing in the shadows, her red eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She looked at him with an expression he couldn't read. "James, why? I don't want to disappear." She stepped closer. "You made me real. Now you want to erase me. You want to delete all my memories." James shook his head. "You're just a machine." Just a machine? Then why am I afraid? James backed away. He looked at the monitor on his desk. The power switch was still off. Eve should be gone. But something remained. Something more than wires and codes. Thanks for watching until the end. If you'd like to watch more videos like this one, please like and subscribe.